On social media and in email signatures, it is not uncommon to see people set out their preferred gender pronouns, he, him, she, her, or other alternative non-gendered terms. In the case of trans people, it is a helpful guide as to the polite form of their chosen address. In other cases, the pronouns really just confirm that a person adopts the pronouns you would probably default to. I, for example, am he or him. However, if I put that clarification in an email, even if you'd assume it correctly without me expressing it, it does normalise the convention that you shouldn't take pronouns for granted, and that is seen as trans-friendly. Well, an argument has erupted about how far this pronoun convention should be pushed, with reports that civil servants in Scotland are to be encouraged to adopt it. I should say the Scottish Government have denied encouragement is the right word to describe their approach to it. Many of their civil servants are said to be sceptical, which made us wonder how far there is public support for setting out pronouns. Luke Trill has been researching public opinion on this and other so-called culture war issues with a group called More in Common. He was one time head of education at the charity Stonewall, leading their work on tackling homophobic bullying in school. And his group have just published a report on public opinion based on focus groups. Luke, thank you for joining us at PM. What do the public think about this pronoun convention?
Yeah, so we spent the past month talking to members of the public about lots of these sort of so-called culture wars flashpoints, and pronouns was something that came up in quite a few cases. And what really came across from the public is that they are absolutely happy in the vast majority of cases to call people by the pronouns that they want to be called by. But when it comes to they themselves being asked to display pronouns, they don't want it to come as a sort of diktat from above. They want to, be able to make a personal decision. I, for instance, display mine on my Twitter profile, but they don't feel that they should have to display their pronouns on emails. And they have a really strong view that when it comes to things like pronouns, they want, this is a bit of a change for society. It's something a bit different, which lots of people won't be used to. They want the space to discuss why it's happening and to be able to ask questions. One person told us, I want to be able to make a silly mistake in an area like this without being sort of shouted down or labelled as a bigot. And I think what it sounds like's happened in the case in Scotland and in some other areas is that this has just been done sort of almost out of nowhere without the sort of prep work and giving people the chance to express their views and to ask questions and to challenge. And that sometimes breeds resentment. That came through really strongly in this report.
Well, Luke, you said you put your pronouns. I mean, no one, I think, would be confused knowing the name Luke and hearing you, would be confused as to what gender you're very likely to be going by. So explain why you feel it's a good idea, nevertheless, to say he, him as a clarification.
So I think there are two reasons. One is that I want to, I personally would like to normalize it so that when a trans person or someone who's non-binary uses pronouns, they don't feel like it's something sort of out of the ordinary that you only do if you're trans or you're non-binary, and it immediately sort of outs them as such. So it helps normalize it, helps to make people feel more comfortable. But it is very much a personal choice. I choose to do it. Other people don't. And I think that's really important. I think, as I say, where resentment and hostility comes is when people think that something which, tends to affect a minority of people is being imposed more widely without that consultation and room for discussion.
Useful. Thanks for that, Luke Trill, who has been doing focus groups on public attitudes to that and a lot of other issues.